Natasha and Clamore Gordon, trying to get half of us, my better half, to act right. We are glad to be back for another marriage series. We represent the 2-to-1 Marriage Ministry coupled with Connect Orlando. Thank you all for being with us this year on another great series. This year is that's right, is all about sex, intimacy, and spirituality. So we have had some hot topics for you. Today is no different. And today we are joined by Kayla and Didier Jossaint. They are joining us from Texas. Say hey to the people.
What it do, homie?
We have known them for some years now. They are not only great friends, but they have a lot of insight based on what they do and also just their love for each other. And so the couples that we bring to you always bring us great perspective. Thank you all for joining us for this conversation today, Kayla and Diddy.
No problem.
Looking forward to it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So today's topic is about sexual expectations. Today we're talking about the hot topic of sexual techniques and also the concept of ghosts in the bedroom. Some of you may have heard that topic before. It may be new to others of you, but ghosts in the bedroom, we'll get to that as well. So glad you all will join us. Go ahead and let's start. So talk to us a little bit when we talk about sexual expectations, first of all, of our spouses, of ourselves. How are sexual expectations developed?
You want to take this one?
Go ahead.
So I'll talk to you from a personal experience of how my sexual expectations were developed. It was through porn. It wasn't like the best way, but that's what I knew growing up as a child. Then so once I've gained experience, I realized that shouldn't be my expectations because those are paid actors. So yeah. So but once you're in a relationship, they're developed through communication, learning your partner, and like just being there and like talking with your partner essentially.
A lot of people need to free themselves of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say free themselves of that, to be able to be openly communicate that with their partner, because for the growth and the development of the relationship, to get to that sexual intimacy and to develop that expectation, you have to be open and take accountability for that. And truth be told, a lot of people don't find it wrong, but because they don't see the damage in their relationships.
And to your point, Diddy, I think for many people, because we also have a session in this series on porn and the impact on marriage. If you all haven't checked out that one, please check it out. So a lot of people have based their expectations around porn. For other people, it might be a magazine, a book,
movie.
TV shows, movies, things that they've heard their friends say, and especially in college, even though many of their friends were probably lying about experiences, many people base their expectations around things that were either true or not, that their peer group was experiencing. And so that's interesting as well. I rarely hear people say their expectations were based around maybe something positive from their religious experience or something their parents said, which is really interesting. But expectations come from a lot of different areas. Would you agree with that, Kayla?
Yeah, I was going to say, just adding another perspective, expectations about oneself, because a lot of women, it's statistically proven that women, we watch porn to learn and men watch porn for more pleasure. Nowadays, it's different. A lot of women are watching porn for pleasure, but for the most part, our basis as a woman, we are watching to learn different moves, styles, techniques, what to do, what to expect. And once again, that's still really detrimental because not everybody's the same. I don't know how explicit I'm allowed to be, but
talk to people.
As a woman, like watching videos where men are able to finish off on your face, on your chest, on your back, in your hair. That's not a real expectation because one, you have to enjoy that too. Just doing it because they like it is not it. And you will find yourself hating him or whoever you're with, or hating the experience. And it's going to ruin this whole pleasure thing for you. So, not even just having false expectations on somebody else, but even how you should perform. If you see a man, or if you see the person that you're watching yank her hair, but then your wife says, "Don't you dare touch my hair," you have built an experience to
Yeah.
say, like, oh, having sex is supposed to be rough and aggressive. But
Mhm.
you're always talking about, baby, hold me, touch
Mhm.
me, caress
Mhm.
me. You've built false expectations because this is not, one size does not fit all when it comes to sex and things like that. And there was something else. Music. Music is very
Ooh,
influential on
yeah.
our sex life. I was telling Diddy, we actually had
Mm.
this conversation about music, hip hop, rap these days,
Mhm.
so much explicit content. And I was talking about how one of the female rappers who are always talking about very explicit content,
Mhm.
how she likes to be pleased. Her boyfriend is the exact opposite. And
Mm.
I'm like, so you rap about what you like in the bed and how you want a man to treat you, but your man is not any, he's quiet, he's gentle, he's tiny, like all these things.
How you know this?
He's
In real life, you're talking about
not
her real,
not there.
in real life. Be quiet, Diddy. You're talking about her real life interviews, Kayla.
Yes, like he's a short
Right,
man,
right.
and you talking about, oh, I want to climb him. He's tall.
Mm.
No, that's not who you are with. So once again, women are listening to this, especially when it comes to how a woman's vagina is supposed to be gushy and this and that. Some of us don't have that. Okay, so building an expectation off of what I'm supposed to look like or feel like and all this stuff because of somebody's rap lyrics is not real. It's not real.
Man,
Right.
you brought up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Clamore.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say you brought up a powerful point. I think in our session on porn, which again, you all check that out if you haven't seen that episode, but also today, I don't think we touched on, you said the word hatred, the hatred that can come about, or the discord in a relationship, in a marriage relationship, as a result of trying to meet unrealistic expectations that sometimes a person has not even come to terms with where they got their expectations from, but we're acting out those expectations and causing an unwanted response, and you can't figure out where this discord comes from. So I think, so part of you all's challenge today, we're going to throw out to our marriage community: stop and assess your expectations.
Right.
Are they realistic? Are they God-given? Are they spouse approved? Are you happy with them?
Right.
And what are you doing about them? What kind of response are you getting? So thanks for sharing that, Kate. All right, so we dug a little bit into how couples usually arrive at their sexual expectations, whether it's from something they've seen, something they've heard in their peer group or in society around them, sometimes at the barbershop, on TV and porn, all of these things, right? So what do you think that couples in actuality should base their expectations on? Where should our true, genuine expectations come from?
Each other. I can only go to the limits of my partner at the moment, if that makes sense. Like, of course, they can always learn and try new things. Of course, we can do that. But once again, I have to go to the limitations of what I got in my hand. And this is what I have in my hand. So I can't expect I don't want, let me not even put no names on it. Let me just say I can't expect white, blonde hair, blue eyes when this is what I got going on. You know what I mean? And
Nor are you requesting that.
that's so
I want to put that out there because I know, Kayla, I'm going to take that liberty and say that as my friend. That's not a request
not
either.
that there's anything wrong with that. Throwing it out there to somebody.
That's somebody's journey.
But it's not the standard.
That's somebody's partner right now. But I cannot be expecting that when I don't have that. And I feel like us, comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm.
We do this a lot. Like we compare.
Yeah.
That will be a killer. To you, it will rob you, and it's gonna rob what you have right here in front of you. So yeah, I think that's the main problem. Like this should be it right here. This is what I should be expecting off of. And after having conversation, I feel like a lot of problems we have in our relationships in general, and especially sexually, is lack of communication. Talk. I can't tell you how many couples or just people I've spoken to, especially women that talk about, I like this, but he doesn't do it. But did you tell him?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, he should. No,
Mhm.
no, sir. Like, we
Mhm.
got to talk about this. And then,
Mhm.
and also where and when we talk about this.
So we talked earlier about how people usually arrive at their sexual expectations. So what should couples instead really be basing their sexual expectations on?
Again, it should be off of each other, and working with what you have. I'm pausing right here to say, am I reiterating what I said before, or am I finishing what?
Yes, I think we were cut
Yes,
off on the end
we
of
were
that
cut off for
question.
that. Yeah,
So should I start from the beginning of what I said, or just start where go where I left off?
Either one.
either
I
one.
can take pieces from the other one too.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yes, I should be building my expectation off of what I have after we've communicated. Oh, I remember what I was saying too. I was saying like, and depending on where and when you have this conversation is really going to matter,
Mm.
how the person receives what you're saying. If you're letting me know that I'm not good at oral or this or that or whatever while we're fighting, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm
Mhm.
not going to take those notes. I'm actually going to be like, well, forget your feelings anyway. And this is why
Mhm.
you're resting, stuff like that. Because this is not
Hmm.
the time you should be telling me. Um, if you tell me after you see that, you know, he's had the baby all day, or you had the baby all day, you tired, and you talking about something, yeah, I just want to tell you what you did last night was not it, or that's not good. That's not the time. The time.
So you're
Now,
Yeah.
saying, if I could recap, so the content of what you say is important, but the
mhm,
context around it is important also. So having the
context.
conversation at a time where each person is not stressed, they're relaxed, they're open to receive it. So not
Hmm.
during a football game, not during a Lifetime movie, not after someone has had. Don't look
What you
at
said
everybody,
back
everybody
over
look straight
again.
ahead. Look straight ahead,
What did you
Diddy.
start
So
off? What was the
not
first?
during the football game, not during any sports games, but also not during chick flicks or rom coms, not after a spouse has been stressed out either by work or household duties, childcare all day, but in a time when you all have mutually agreed, let's talk about this.
Right.
Maybe during pillow talk, maybe if y'all are having dinner alone and you're already sharing some intimate moments. So, not, and also not in a time where you're using it as ammo. You should be
Right.
doing it during a time
Exactly.
when you're actually interested in
Right.
learning.
Don't take the
Woo!
vulnerabilities and use them as ammo, because that's how you ruin an experience
And
completely.
trust
And
and
trust.
other elements of trust. Oh,
Yeah.
that's how you tell me how you really feel.
Like,
Yeah.
how long you been holding on to that?
Yeah.
Yes, and once again, comparison. This is not the time to be like,
Hmm.
so and so. You said, "Ooh, don't do
Yeah.
it. If you
Yeah.
want to die a quick death and an early one,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what you do. But if you're
Somebody
not,
needs
if
to,
you're trying to live,
I don't know who needs to hear this today, but
I'll
that
know
kind
that.
of gets into
That
that kind of gets into Ghost in the
it's the
Bedroom
bedroom. Yeah.
also, which we'll talk about in a
Hmm.
minute.
Yes.
But before we get to Ghost in the Bedroom, so how can we each, as husband, as wife, make sure that our expectations are reasonable and clear to our partner? Some of that we just covered, but if you could add anything else to that, how can we make sure that our expectations are A, reasonable, but B, clear to our
Hmm.
spouse?
I guess a lot of understanding. Like you have to understand your partner. It's not just like, hey, I seen this, let's try this. Like, nah. You have to know who your partner is first of all.
Trying to tell
This
you.
this this whole chandelier thing hanging off of whatever jungle gym and
Yeah. Because your insurance ain't gonna cover
I'm just
that.
saying, like, if your partner isn't the most adventurous person,
Mm.
like, don't bring them adventure that that's gonna get shut down. Or
Mm-hmm.
like you bring them the adventure in a different way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in a way
Baby
that
steps.
exactly in a way that they'll receive it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like
And
that's why I say like a lot of understanding has to come into play. Like, you have to know who your partner is.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
once
mhm.
again, like what I said about understanding what you are working with right now. You know what I mean? There are certain things that are just not going to be possible
Mm-hmm.
with
Right.
your spouse. But listen, there are always cheat codes. there are ways, and we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, yeah.
Little things throw in there to make it seem like you got a lot more than what you work with, but it's okay, and we make it work. But
so can I add something also?
Yeah.
So also about timing. So Diddy talked about not introducing adventure to a person that might not appreciate it. But I also think the timing is important. So maybe don't try something, what may be extreme to you all in a time when maybe this is restorative or recovery sex from something that has happened and you all are trying to bond again. Maybe there's different times and phases for trying different things, right? Maybe this is, an apology. We need to reconnect. We need to grow together. We need to talk through some things. We want to just share some moments. Maybe that's not the time for, I know I was wrong. Just, we're getting back together and let's try this.
But
this will make it a little bit
this
better.
Has been on my mind. You've got to think, what does the other person need? In another episode, which I hope you all will check out on transformational versus transactional sex, we talked about the sacrificial mindset.
Right.
Make sure it's a sacrificial mindset. I would like to try something, and I'll share this with my spouse, but what do you need right now? What is this experience going to be for us? What do you need today? How will this be the most enjoyable for you and for me, ultimately?
In addition to what Kasha is saying, also the Bible, references that. And one of there's a book and then there's a chapter. There's another book with a chapter that talks about sex and marriage outside of Songs of Solomon. But in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3, it says, "Let the husband render unto the wife what she is due, and likewise the wife." And basically what it's saying is, understand your wife's expectation, then give her what she's due. And likewise the wife, understand your husband's expectation, and then render that unto him.
Through communication. Emotional intelligence, asking, just simply saying, what do you need? How can I support you? How can I give to you? And also intimacy all day long, all week long, not just intimacy in that moment.
And also, as we talked about at the beginning of the year, fill your partner's spirit with those things that will lift their spirit, draw their spirit closer to God, and vice versa. Because if we eliminate those very important things through a lack of communication, then we're going to find ourselves not enjoying sex together or those intimate experiences because we haven't filled each other with the right things.
And also through their love language. I think love languages are good to bring into this. Diddy talked about understanding. Kayla, you talked about understanding your spouse, what they like, what they don't like, what they need. You got to communicate it. Spouses are not mind readers. We talked about that, but understanding their love language, who they are, and how that ties into what they like to experience sexually, and what
how to get there. Though, if we haven't, Diddy is a quality time type person. If we haven't spent time together, if he ain't seen me in 5 days, if I've been texting, there's no talk, we haven't spoken on the phone, there's no text messages, but I come home and I'm like, "What's up? Let's do this."
Right.
But we haven't even, what's the conversation? He needs that. I don't need it. But he needs that. So I can't expect a whole triathlon out of him when he hasn't been filled yet.
But he knows that you have other needs, even though yours may not be that leading up to that. You may have other needs. You may need the physical touch first.
Exactly.
You may need some words first. You might need a little gift first.
Before you get the bigger gift,
Gift before the gift.
And you know what's interesting about that? But that just came to me. I don't think we had talked about this earlier, about what happens when expectations change over time. We may enjoy something at the beginning of our relationship, but then what happens when you get so used to doing this, now it's like we have to do something different now, because aside from the changes that women go through with childbirth and rearing a child, there are other things that also happen with men. There's different stages. There could be menopause at some point, God forbid. That for men,
for women, and then
then erectile dysfunction for men.
Diddy was like, "Wait a minute, men get."
It is. It's called andropause.
But anyway.
It's called andropause.
Yes.
But
we'll talk
He
about
was
that later.
I ain't
he was
never
getting
heard
to
that
the he was
song.
getting to the
Okay.
medical.
but emotional changes, physical changes, psychological changes over time. So what in those situations, how can we address some of those expectations and those changes over time?
Sorry, it's not funny. I was just thinking men in menopause. Go ahead.
It's andropause.
So, like professionally dealing, right? What my passion is, what I'm here to do is to help people, one, recognize that they have changed, two, teach you it's okay to be changed, and three, let's work with the change, right?
Right.
Because we can say what we liked in our 20s ain't what I like in my 30s. Okay, what I did not like in my 20s, I might be like, oh, let's try that in my 30s. Something has changed. And especially when you've been with somebody for so long, they're like, but you didn't used to talk like this before. What happened?
Mhm.
It's because, and so I spoke to another group about this with me and Diddy, like having so much bodily shame and guilt growing up, having I was bulimic for a really long time. I still struggle with body dysmorphia, and it was really hard busting it wide open with your spouse when you don't like the way you look. When you're very conscious about, oh, don't look at this fat roll. Oh, don't look. I don't like when there's a dimple in my butt. I don't like it. All these little things we poke at, right? But being with Diddy, the way he loves me, I've been able to enjoy what I look like, and now I'm a nudist, and now I don't care about anything, and now my body confidence has grown because he has loved what I used to hate, and because of that, since you hate it, well, you loved it, I love it. You know what I mean? So what am I complaining for if he like it? And so because of that, I went from don't you dare turn on the lights to turn on all the lights, all the lights. I'm putting mirrors all over the place. I'm trying to put a mirror on our ceiling because that's what I want. Because he's allowed me to love what everything looks like. Don't be like that. So it's like, but that's what has happened. That openness. So when we first started versus now, I am a different Kayla, but I have
Seasons
communicated.
change. Yes.
And it's what you're saying, Kayla, is so important that we couples have to understand that your spouses, how you respond, how you perceive your spouse is so important, especially when expressing expectations. Because if a spouse expresses a certain expectation and your face goes like this,
Yeah,
it's you're not going to get the desired response that you want.
Very
So
true.
that is so important that what you're saying, Kayla, like how our spouse responds to us when we express our expectation is so important. The timing of it, how it's said, when it's said, all those factors are so important because it can either be detrimental or beneficial to the sex to be had.
Exactly.
So the psychological safety is what
Right.
you're describing.
Yes.
The psychological safety to share intimate ideas, thoughts. It needs that psychological safety needs to be there. That's important. It's a good word, Bishop. All right. So we're talking a lot about present sexual experiences, future, what we hope for as couples. But let's segue a little bit to the past. So we want to talk about for a moment the concept of ghosts in the bedroom. Now, ghosts in the bedroom is a concept that I heard years ago. And for those who've never heard this concept, and I can't say the book in particular that's attributed to, but I heard this in conversation, but it was referring to people's sexual past before their partner in marriage, potentially. Now, that may not be everybody's journey, but for the people who have had that journey, ghosts in the bedroom, let's talk as couples now about how a couple can work through ghosts in the bedroom to achieve greater intimacy. What kind of impact do ghosts in the bedroom, thoughts about previous partners, what kind of impact can that have on the marriage dynamic?
You want to start with this?
I guess.
And you can speak hypothetically or
And
directly,
candidly,
however candidly or hypothetically.
Might as
We
well
just
just
want
put
to explore this concept tangibly.
All right, so I'll
I'll get
speak
to
from my own personal experience. So I don't compare like per se like you said like hey I had A I have B like I don't compare say like hey if I could take this piece and that piece and combine them I'll get what I want. I have like I understand that everyone's different, but like so it got to a point where it it got and I communicated this with Kayla like before I proposed and stuff like that. And like it really got to me like hey I'm she's the one. And I'm saying to myself like I started thinking like all these thoughts in my head like hey you know you missed out on that opportunity. You had this
Mhm.
girl, you had that girl.
Mhm.
Like are you ready? Are you really ready to settle down for one
Mhm.
person? So, and I communicated that with Kayla. Like, I was very transparent and said, like,
Mhm.
hey, this is what's going through my mind. It's not that I want to do X. It's not that I want to do certain things, but like now that I'm realizing, like, hey, you and I are getting someplace that we're about to build something.
Yeah.
It's like
Mhm.
that typical thing, like mess it up. So that 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 on a premarital level could have a negative effect. And like there's also, I feel like talking to a whole bunch of people, especially single people that
Mhm.
are accustomed to having sex with random people,
Mm.
has a negative impact on the marriage
Mhm.
because they're just not on the same level because their thing may be like, hey, if I had sex, if the first time I have sex with them and if it's bad, they throw the whole person away.
yeah.
And
Mm.
in a marriage, you can't necessarily do that because like you're married. so
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
so I feel like that in itself could be a ghost
Mm.
Mhm.
because like you're taking advice from all these people that you're not supposed to be taking advice from,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and you may not have the best sex life.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden you're just listening to these words from again people you shouldn't be listening to,
Mm.
or it's not even that you shouldn't be listening to them. You just have to realize that you and them are in
Places
yeah,
in life.
two different
Right.
places. Like they're out there living their life and their best life and having a good grand old time, and you're living your life with your spouse.
Yeah.
And we're using.
And though
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
yeah, and those interactions, those experiences and expectations now are being brought into the marriage
Hmm.
Yeah.
Consciously or
consciously
subconsciously.
or subconsciously,
Yeah.
which is causing possibly the lack of enjoyment of
Hmm.
intimacy and sex with your partner.
And
Exactly.
To Diddy's point, previously a person, because of that or because of other things before marriage, the person may have walked away from a relationship if they didn't like it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Something, whether it was
Yeah.
they didn't like the communication, they didn't like the sex, they didn't
Hmm.
like the person's attitude. But now, and sex is a big component of marriage. You don't just walk away. Marriage is the next level. Remember, this is God
Right.
given, God ordained. It is enjoyable, it's amazing, and it is not because of convenience that we're married. We're
Right.
married because of commitment. And that
Hmm.
Right.
commitment has to mean something different. We can't have a marriage based on convenience. It has to be commitment. So, what am I going to commit to do? How am I going to support,
Hmm.
love, achieve intimacy with my spouse if something is not the way I want it to be? How are we going to try and enjoy each other? How are we going to become intimate? How are we going to work through this experience and this journey together? So that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that.
Right. And it can't be about what you can get when you go into marriage because it's a partnership. It's not all about what you're going to want from your partner alone. Your partner is also looking to receive something, but it should be a mutual reciprocation between each spouse. Now, it should never be one-sided because that's how we'll get into that transactional versus
Transformation.
transformational, which we'll talk about in another segment.
Yes. Were you going to add something to this question too, Kayla, about ghosts in the bedroom?
Yeah. Just, I mean, a little bit on the more explicit level of how, once again, comparison is really detrimental to
Mm-hmm.
everything and the involvement. If the mindset is, I am teaching you, or I am telling you what I like and what I don't like because this is what I actually like versus I'm telling you that you're not doing this right because so and so didn't do this to me
Mm.
or they
Mhm.
did it better is where it's different. So you have to find out the root of why we are communicating on changing up something in the bedroom. Is it because I honestly don't like it that way?
Mhm.
Or is it because I've grown accustomed to liking it one way with somebody else and I don't want to change that because I like how I liked it with my
Mhm.
exes, you
Right.
know? And so, and also, sometimes you'll notice in your sexual relationships, if you've had multiple sexual partners, that sometimes you only like something because of the person you're with really liked
Mm.
it or influenced it heavily in the relationship, and you haven't given yourself even the grace to enjoy what someone
Wow,
else is
wow.
doing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And we need to like separate and take the time. And so, what I instruct for other people to do, I'm not a writer. I'm a talker. So obviously. So I instruct for you to be able to write down what are my pros and cons? What do I really like? Do I even
Mhm.
know why I like it like this?
Right.
And then we go point for point. And me and my partner, so taking the time with your spouse and writing down, hey, what do you really like? What do you really dislike in general? Not with
Mhm.
me, not with the last person, just in general. What do you really like and why? And then let's talk about it. Let's talk about why
Yeah.
we really like this.
Yeah.
That's good wisdom. And if you all have not checked out the series from end of December, beginning of January on emotional intelligence in marriage that we put out, check that out because a lot of what I hear you saying is so tied into emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, that self-awareness and understanding
Yes.
our triggers and why,
Mhm.
whether triggers that make us happy, triggers that make us, uncomfortable, upset,
Mm.
and then self-management. What do we
Mhm.
do about those triggers? How do we respond to our spouse, with our internal triggers? And then the social awareness and relationship management
Right.
aspect. So excellent points.
And
Thank you both.
I would say to people who are struggling with that concept or the experience of having a ghost in the bedroom, you have to address that within yourself. Going back to the emotional intelligence model of self-awareness, understand that you're experiencing that problem and communicate that with your spouse. Maybe now you have a language to say, hey, I'm experiencing a ghost in the bedroom and this is what it is. Now is the time. As Kayla mentioned before, there may be different experiences. You just enjoyed it because someone did it, or it's just someone that, something that you've gotten accustomed to over the time. Now is the time to rediscover with your spouse something to enjoy with your spouse, so that your spouse is the focus of your intimate relationship in your marriage, not your past
Mhm.
experiences in your marriage, but you're focused on your spouse together.
And we know that that's real. And we know that the Holy Spirit can really help us isolate
Yep.
those thoughts and isolate those experiences
Yeah.
so that we can truly enjoy the oneness in marriage that God designed,
Mhm.
oneness in thought, oneness in perspective, oneness in our love languages, our sexual experiences.
Yeah.
So,
And I just thought about this too. I don't think all the experiences also is so much having intercourse with previous people. Maybe there are some people out there who haven't had intercourse with someone, but maybe they've seen something and they want to try it, and they've imagined it so much that
mhm,
it becomes ingrained in their mind. And
Expectation.
yes,
mhm,
and so now
set of
they
expectations.
want that experience,
Hmm.
and if they don't receive it, they're unfulfilled. So
Hmm.
we have to be careful of the things that we also perceive, not just experience, through past relationships.
Yeah. Sure.
So let's segue a little bit into our final question. So now that we've talked about ghosts in the bedroom, we've talked about sexual expectations, what they are, how we arrive at them, what we need to do about them. Finally, I want to get into a little bit of a different topic. Let's talk about some actual techniques. So there may be people who have said, hey, I want to isolate myself from past ghosts in the bedroom. I want to try something new and different with my spouse. Maybe you tend to do things one way. Maybe your spouse appreciates that, or maybe they like to do something different. You'd like to do something different. Talk to us a little bit about some techniques that couples can try to increase intimacy, to increase pleasure in their sex lives. What can they do? Some things that are, we'll say, safe, some things that are
Realistically.
realistic, desired
Yeah.
by their spouse, all of those things. Come
Yes.
on, 2022. What are they gonna do differently? Talk about some
Mm-hmm.
techniques.
Okay. So I'm gonna go from. I'm gonna give you the range, right? Let's go from smaller levels to grander
Yeah,
levels, right?
levels.
There's a
Yes,
spectrum.
there are thank you. It's a whole ladder
There's a
spectrum
spectrum.
out here. Okay, so definitely one, just increasing intimacy is paying attention to love languages by
Mhm.
far. That is number one. Pay attention to those things and speak on if they've changed, because they do
Mm.
change throughout the course of a relationship, a marriage. Um, Mine have changed over the course of time. Having a baby, they have changed
Mm.
slightly, ever more. How did he cared for me during my pregnancy made them
Mm.
change. And so, because of that, I'm different. So we need to talk about that, and we need to work on the differences that have appeared. Changing scenery
Mm.
can do
Mhm.
so much for you. Um, even even having conversation in a different place and actually setting the time to talk can do so much. Now, because of the marvelous size of my husband, we have yet to find a bathtub big enough for him, but I've always wanted to do like bathtub talk. Like that's so cute to me with little bubbles and you got your little wine or no wine, your grape juice, whatever you want. And y'all just sit in the bathtub, you talk about your day. Like that's so cute.
This came from TV. I could tell. This came from a movie, Kayla.
All I'm
But
thinking about is risk.
I
I'm
think
talking about all the
I think
risk
that's part of the
and all the
50 Shades of Grey
accidents that
thing.
could
shush, no, it's not.
happen.
We'll get there, but it's not. But it's
Understood.
just
Go
like
ahead, Kayla.
just intimacy without touching each other. We're not even touching each other. We're
Can you
yes,
do
we
that?
make it in a
But that was
we we are
We
in a
are
baby. We'll see.
and we can talk about these things. You know what I mean? And yet it's beautiful. Um, Couch talks. Just like I said, just places where we can do. There is something I can't remember what it's called, but it's a type of yoga
Mm.
where you get into all these sexual positions, but you don't. You are fully clothed and y'all are stretching, but it's the most sexual thing ever. And you're creating this beautiful tension between the two of you. I want us to try it. Just let you
And
know.
it's specifically a clothed option.
It's
There's
a
not a not clothed option.
clothing option. That's what you wear. You wear clothes and you're in a class. So it's
Ah,
instructive.
okay. So there's other people. So there's
Yes.
class. Okay.
It's a class. It's a
Okay.
hot,
So
steamy class. There are videos you can do at home for those of us who are not very good with in-person settings, especially in a panoramic. Okay. So doing this in a class might not be possible. But for those of us who can, like it's just a beautiful way to grow intimacy without the sex yet. Now here we go.
mhm.
Closer.
Okay. So
Um
yoga
All
classes.
that was building up to
that
the
was
sex.
building up to the sex part
Oh,
because
right,
we're
right.
talking about growing intimacy
Okay.
And
without
a spectrum and
yeah.
sexual techniques. So all
Right.
kinds of different options. So
Now here we
she's
Right.
taking our audience through options.
Girl.
So the
so now
yoga
now
is loosening you up for the future
and
things to happen.
it's building that sexual tension between the two of you. You're
I'm
looking in
just
each
saying.
other's eyes. It's real close in your face, but you can't.
Nice.
So it's building something. So now, for those of us, I was reading. I'm part of like a sex blog or whatever, and there's a woman who was saying she wanted to divorce her husband because she
Mhm.
realized the size of his boat was not as grand as she felt like it should be or wanted
Mhm.
it to be.
How long they been married?
They just got married, so it's been a
Oh.
month or
Oh
two into
wow.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
ready to
wow.
call quits because he wasn't the size she wanted him to be. Now, for my smaller, or not even just smaller, just like men who are just on a different scale than others, if you put a pillow underneath your lady in the small of your back, I can't really show y'all because this is still a family rated program, but laying down on your back, putting a
We got
pillow,
we got you.
yeah, and the small of your back and raising yourself up for missionary can definitely help the impact when he is getting to that point of entering and penetration. It does change things. For those of us who are not appalled and don't mind this, butt plugs Also, do something to the vaginal walls where it feels a lot tighter. That's for my ladies who maybe cannot do Kegels or don't want to do Kegels, don't want to stick nothing up there, don't want to work on something like that. That can definitely change. There are more dramatic positions, missionary positions that you can uh, definitely try. Legs up, two legs up inside, one leg scissor position. There's so many different things that you can try if depth is a problem. If you want to feel like a closer, deeper feel, deeper penetration, there are definitely things to do. There are, if for people who want to try flexibility, there is a, without it being called doggy style, I'm kind of against that name, by the way, but that's a whole nother conversation for a different day. But all fours, standing up, touching your toes. Yes, it's a stretch. It's definitely there. But
Can I
ladies, like,
insert something? Also,
yes,
as you tell these techniques, you said it's a stretch. Y'all stretch first, please.
stretch
You know,
your
TV will tell you,
that
you
you just
know,
jump into
come
it.
in the house,
From
throw
its-
stuff off,
Let me
you
stop.
know, run into the room. Y'all stretch because you will be making
Go
a
to
physical
the
therapy.
chiropractor
You'll be
first.
making a physical
Yes.
therapy appointment if you
Plan
don't.
it.
Hmm.
Make a chiropractor appointment. It will work
Yes.
wonders.
And
We
men, please
Loosen it all
understand.
up.
Please understand. Listen, baby, these ain't the same legs from 5 years ago. These ain't the same knees from 5 years ago. Okay.
yeah,
I
so
think I have many knees, but I
don't be
Buy some
afraid
knee
to
pads if you have to.
don't be afraid to tell your spouse, you know, and you can make that a part of your time together, your intimate
Right.
time. Y'all stretch, y'all do some nice creative things together, but
Yeah, get a
but
little
Yeah,
stretch.
start with
random.
that yoga, like the yoga
Yeah.
you mentioned. You know, if you started doing the yoga thing, do some of those positions to warm up, get yourself in the mood, and go there, so we can prevent any kind of injury.
I have a friend who's a physical therapist,
You
and
burn
they
calories.
talked
Yeah, you
about
do.
how many of their clients come to see them
From
because
sexual
of new
issues.
positions that they
Right.
tried, and you know how they could have been avoided. So
Mhm.
funny, not funny, but y'all just stretch, and then okay, go ahead, Kayla, back to you.
Yeah, no, definitely making sure you stretch is a number one thing. Building intimacy and just safeness with your partner, and maybe if you're kind of shy, and now you're, kind of coy to the whole being naked around your spouse. There's a lot of us who've been married and still don't like being naked with our
Mhm.
spouse. It's perfectly normal. It happens all the time. If you would like to see growth, let's grow, if that's the
Mhm.
case. So, what I usually tell people, what you should do, you and your spouse during the day or with the lights on, whatever you want to do, both you, butt booty naked, right?
Mhm.
And it's like playing Operation, but with your spouse. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna do this down here. Tell me if you like it. And just having raw feedback with one another. Because
Right.
sometimes, y'all, trying to experiment on Valentine's night ain't it. Trying to
Mhm.
experiment on the anniversary night ain't it. We
Mhm.
should experiment on a random Tuesday while the kids are still at school. Let's
Right.
try it. You know,
But unlike Operation, don't be like don't
we
make
need better
offensive
feedback than
sounds.
that.
Just one thing you can do is move their hand to where you want it
Yes.
to be and
Mhm.
say, now this
Guidance.
is
Okay,
guided, and
guided.
let that be a part of the sexiness of it. Move their hand,
Yeah.
put your hand on their hand.
Yes, guiding them and being okay with talking about it. But men and ladies, we need to talk about being open to receiving uh
Mhm.
this I don't want to call it criticism, but these
Feedback.
corrections. Yes, and the
Mhm.
feedback. We have to open up. I've heard couples, I've heard ladies who were like, he told me that my oral sex game wasn't that great, but I know it's good. Ma'am, ma'am,
If he said
ma'am.
it, there's a
Your
reason.
teeth should not be grazing the head. It should not, unless he
Mhm.
likes that.
Mhm.
There's too much chomping going on.
Mhm.
Less
Mhm.
teeth, less teeth. But once again, that's going into a different type of sex, which is BDSM, which is bondage and discipline, or submission and discipline. And that is different. So, Kumar, we were talking before this about the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing and how that can be detrimental um, to some people's marriages and relationships and even just sexy time.
And their health.
And
Yes, and
And
your
their
health.
health and well-being. Seriously,
Mhm.
there
Yes.
may be some things that are just detrimental to your health. Sex is not really sexy in the ER.
Right.
So
It's not.
let's try to.
And let's be real, your insurance ain't gonna cover sex. They're not.
They're gonna be like, I'm sorry, how did you say that you
They're not.
sustained this injury?
That's an
Okay,
out-of-pocket
now-
expense. That's an out-of-pocket expense.
It is. And once again, like with BDSM, oh my goodness, guys, like this is a whole thing. But like there's not only just safety, but you have to have a partner who's not going to abuse this time. There is a video that went on about this woman who had told her husband that she was going to, a sexy time. And so she had handcuffed him to the bed and things like that. And he's thinking, and I think she blindfolded him, and he's thinking that something's about to go down. And she takes this moment to tickle him, and he's telling her stop. And that is a form of sexual mistrust. You have used this time to abuse me sexually because you're abusing my no. No's matter. No, don't matters. I'm not comfortable matters. Those things matter.
Yes.
So please pay attention to those. And so with BDSM, there's levels to it. Just being handcuffed, that's cool for some people. Like, let's stay here. Okay, we don't need to do the full-on flogging and whips and chains and choke balls. Like, we don't need to get the gags. We don't need to do all of that. Yeah, there's gagging balls. So
no, you said choke balls?
Yeah, so like there are things that go on the penis, there are things that go on the testicles that give a lot of restraint, and the partner would have control over how much tugging or how much pressure is applied. There's things for the
training.
It's the feeling. It's the feeling.
So here's the thing. I think that when you are working with your spouse to decide what you all appreciate, what you enjoy, we have to think of the goal of sex and intimacy.
Right.
Closeness to God, closeness to each other.
It's something
so cute.
So once someone, whether it's by tickling that they don't enjoy, to Kayla's point, nose matter, or beating, we have to think, is this creating intimacy with God, intimacy with each other? And if someone is not uncomfortable, no matter what it is, understanding, okay, I'm missing the point. I'm not doing what I need to do. I'm not doing right by my spouse. We're missing the point of this. And some part of that is selfish and detrimental. And you have to think, if I do this now, what is that? Is that going to build trust or distrust with my spouse? Am I helping or harming the relationship? And so thank you for sharing some of those things. Just because we mentioned those, that doesn't mean we're a proponent of those. We're just telling you all there are a range of things out there. And these are conversations we have to have with our spouses.
Right.
I was going to say to you, Kasha, as well as that when exploring, there could be some delicate situations to where if you've had a porn addiction, looking up all these sex positions might be very touchy for you. It might be hard. So one, doing it with your partner, or even just allowing your partner to do it. Have the one person be the researcher. Like, babe, I got all these sex positions. I got 5. I've looked up 5, and they have fake animated people pictures. They're not real pictures. They're not real videos. Nothing like that. They are little step 1, 2, 3. Put your leg here. Put your arm here. Put this here, and let's go by that. Tutorials, pictorials, things like that help. Instead of going straight to videos, we don't need to always watch a video for everything. Also, for my people who want to be a little bit more adventurous, Diddy and I have talked about this. Instead of watching another couple or watching porn to get off, because some people do, they like to be aroused that way. Baby, watch yourself, record yourself. And now I will say this though, because me as a preacher, I can't be recording my videos on my phone, because that's the same phone. 1, pictures of my 10-month-old son are in. 2, that phone is sometimes connected up for church events and things like that. So no, we're not recording it in that phone.
And kids like to grab phones.
Try to tell you, Listen,
Families like to see pictures.
swipe, they love to
Mhm.
swipe,
See
y'all. They
pictures
love
of the
to swipe.
kids.
Yeah, you about to see
Do
something.
not swipe left or right.
It's gonna be a
Oh,
long holiday.
Mhm. Mhm.
we can save that.
We had an experience. We'll tell caution them after this though.
Yeah.
But anyway, so grabbing a whole new device, a whole separate device. So if you're an Apple person and you're like, yeah, let's just buy a little Android or a Google Pixel phone,
Don't
whatever,
send it to
and
the cloud.
Do
yeah,
not
don't send
sneak
nothing to
it.
the cloud.
Don't
Don't
send
send
it to your Google
Lord.
Photos. That
Mm-mm.
your Amazon phone. Don't do it. Okay. Get a whole separate device that saves all your little sexy kinky stuff and record yourself. If watching, if you are a visual person and that's how you get aroused, watch your spouse, watch yourself, watch each other. That should be your replacement instead of or something that should be your replacement for those of you who can do it. That's not a requirement for everybody because once again, sometimes any kind of visual aid anywhere can be a trigger for us, those of us who have not yet gotten over it. And don't put yourself in that position. Don't put yourself in that place of vulnerability to where you and your spouse will have to do more recovering and repairing than enjoying each other's time. So I do want to put that disclaimer out there. But guys, there are so many different sites of with sex coaches and sex instructors and sex educators, not rappers, not people who think they know, not
Right.
single people who
Right.
every person is different every day,
yeah.
married people who or instructors for married couples that can
Right.
help you. So just
And
changing your outlet.
and with you saying that, it's so important too because you do have some people who miss the mark on the sacredness of marriage and a relationship, and they discuss their experiences with anyone.
Yes.
And it's very important to understand that it going back to the emotional intelligence, the social awareness, be
Mhm.
very cognizant of your spouse's privacy and their experiences. Not everyone needs to know what you're doing just because you hear it in a song or saw it on the film. It's not okay for you to go to your friend and say,
Mhm.
you know what, dang, me and my girl, we tried this the other night, but it wasn't
You gotta check in and make sure
you've
that's
got to
okay.
yeah, you have to have a discussion. And again, even if it's another married couple, that's still not there unless, as Kayla said, they're a licensed professional and you're trying to help them through an experience.
Man, we've gotten some good advice today. So, just to recap, and as always, we like to give our marriage community a challenge, a few things that have been brought up today. And thank you all again, Diddy and Kayla, for joining us. If there are questions that you have, you want to try something new, different, make sure that it is approved by your spouse.
Mhm.
You all are on one accord about that. Everyone is comfortable, happy, has peace about it, looking forward to it, not reluctant, hesitant, nervous, scared.
Right.
You want it to be enjoyable. Again, it's that intimacy between God and your spouse. The next thing is if you want to dig a little deeper and try something new and different, there are sex coaches out there. Many people may not know that. Just like there are physical therapists, there are therapists that will talk you through some things, sex coaches, sex therapists. See a licensed professional, someone who will hold the privacy of your marriage and the
Right.
sanctity of your marriage and talk to you about that area and help you grow and develop with your spouse. Seek professional guidance and counseling.
Yeah, and I will also add, ultimately, ask God. Ask him what positions he will permit you to do.
Listen, the Bible says the Holy Spirit will lead and
Will
guide you into all truth.
truth.
That's not just truth
Best
about your
believe
finances. It's
it's
not
about
just truth
sex.
about child rearing, truth about your sexuality.
Yes.
If you need to be more open, if there are some things you think you need to stop, if there's better communication that needs to be had, ask the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you. Because sex is God given, you've got to go back to the source if you want to enjoy it in its
Right.
purest, best, most amazing form. So
Yeah.
start there. So our challenge is seek professional guidance,
Mhm.
right? Try something new with your spouse that is fun and enjoyable and amazing for both of you all.
Right.
So Diddy and Kayla, thanks for joining us. Kamor and I are glad to have this conversation with you all. You all check out the other episodes this year. We have been talking about sex, intimacy, spirituality in all of its forms. So we're looking forward again to chatting soon. Thanks so much, you all.
See you guys next time.
Of course.